Hello, boys and girls of grade 5. How have you been? Welcome to our science class today. My name is Miss Yulita Brown Phillips. Today, before we start our science lesson, I want to share a poem with you. Mixtures and solutions, now I won't lie, can get a little tricky if you don't try. Mixtures can be separated with your hand, like spaghetti, fruit salad, and rocks and sand. Solutions are so different, like the ocean combination. The only way to separate is with evaporation. Boys and girls, today we will be focusing on separating mixtures. But before we delve into the lesson, let's look at a few terms associated with this topic. The word separate means to sever, to disunite, or to part. Mixtures are a combination of two or more substances. A solution is a mixture in which the solid dissolves in a solvent or the liquid. A suspension is a mixture in which the solid does not completely dissolve in the liquid. It is either left suspended or it settles to the bottom of the container. There are a variety of ways by which we can separate mixtures. The physical property of mixtures will determine which separation method is most appropriate. So boys and girls, let's delve in today and examine the different methods of separation. The first method of separation I want us to look at is sieving or sifting. This method involves using a sieve or a sifter to separate solids of varying sizes. This method involves using a sieve or a sifter. A sieve or a sifter, it is a device that has a net on the inside and it separates solids of varying sizes. So if you have to separate a mixture of sand and bricks, the sand would pass through the sieve or the sifter, and the larger particle, which would be the bricks in this case, would be left at the top. Our second method of separation is magnetism. We all know how to use magnets. And when you look at what magnets can do, it can really be cool. Yes, we can use a magnet to separate mixtures. This method is used to separate magnetic materials from non-magnetic materials. Magnetic materials include iron, steel, and nickel. Example of one such separation is separating iron filings from sand. So you have the container with the sand and the iron filings in it, and you set the magnet over it, and you will recognize that the magnet would attract the iron filings. So you would end up having the sand in the container alone and the iron filings attached to the magnet. The next method I want us to look at is evaporation. This method can be used to separate mixtures. It involves heating the solution until the liquid turns to gas and evaporates, leaving the solid behind. This can only occur at the boiling point of liquid. Boys and girls, I'm curious. I want to ask you a question on the side. Do you know what is the boiling point of water? Did you say 100 degrees Celsius? Yes, you are absolutely correct. So that water would have to meet that exact boiling point of 100 degrees Celsius so that evaporation can begin to take place. Example of one such solution is a salt solution. Boiling a salt solution until all that is left is the salt crystals. Our next method of separation is filtration. This method of separation involves removing solids from liquids using a filter. Example, separating a mixture of sand and water. Separating a mixture of liquid washing blue and rice. So, you have your filter paper over your beaker and you pour the mixture. The liquid will pass through the filter paper and the solid would remain on the filter paper. Likewise, in the mixture of liquid washing blue and rice, the liquid washing blue will pass through the filter paper and the grains of rice would be left on the filter paper. When mixtures are filtered, the solid remains on the filter paper and the liquids pass through the filter. The solid part that is left on the filter paper is known as the residue, and the liquid that passed through the filter paper is known as the filtrate. Remember, boys and girls, filtration is used to separate any undissolved solid from a solution or from a solvent in the case of suspensions, because we know that in suspensions the solid particle is not dissolved evenly. Our next method of separation is chromatography. As a separation technique, it allows a solution or a mixture to seep through an absorbent. In this case, it would be chromatography paper, so that each substance becomes absorbed into a separate layer. Example, separating a mixture of dye or ink. The next method of separation we will examine is hand picking. This method is used to separate materials one from another by using the hands. Example, separating a mixture of peas and rice, separating a mixture of peas and sand. All of those are examples of hand picking. So boys and girls, today we have looked at quite a number of separation methods. However, these are not the only methods of separation. So today we examined these separation methods: evaporation, sieving or sifting, magnetism, filtration, chromatography, and hand picking. Boys and girls, guess what it's time for? It's time for us to go to the lab. Grab your lab coat, your beaker, your notepad, and your pencil. It is lab time, but as customary, safety comes first. Let's examine our safety note for today. Many household products are mixtures or solutions that contain harmful and poisonous substances, such as bleach, drain cleaners, disinfectant, pesticides, and the list goes on and on. Such products should only be used by adults and never consumed. When carrying out an experiment, you must always be under adult supervision. So are you ready to see What is it we have to do in the lab today? Okay, here goes. You are given a mixture with water, salt, and sand. Which method or methods of separation would you use? Remember, you are my little scientists, so I am depending on you to give me the correct answer. Take a minute and get this done. Great! Let's see what you have. I am so excited to see if my little scientists would have figured this out. So we have a mixture of salt, water, and sand. We do know that a mixture of salt and water would give us a salt solution. So technically speaking, we have sand in salt solution and we want to separate it. What method can we use? Did you say filtration and evaporation? That is absolutely correct. First, you filter the sand from the salt solution using the filter paper. Then we heat the salt solution until all the liquid evaporates and turns to gas and only the salt crystals are left in the container. Another method of separation we can use is sieving. We can use a sieve to separate the liquid from the sand. The sand would be left in the sieve. Of course, the size of the net in the sieve would be smaller than that of the sand. So our sand is left in the sieve and our salt solution is in the container. And heating it to boiling point, the liquid will evaporate, it turns to a gas, and the solid crystals and the sand crystals would be left in the boiling bowl. Boys and girls, you are excellent scientists. I am so proud of you. But before we bring the curtains down today, I want to ask you, what is a scientist? Someone who wonders, observes, experiments, explores, draws, predicts, invents, and thinks. Boys and girls, those qualities described you. You are a scientist. See you next time.